Yo, it's Kyle. Another video. This video is called Believe People When They Show You Who They Are. And what I mean by that, okay, so we're out here in nature. It's hot. It's windy. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully the visuals are good. We're gonna run with it. Okay, so the title of this video, Believe People When They Show You Who They Are. So there have been times in my life where I've been friends with people for years. And I'm sure people watching this can relate. You have been friends with somebody for years. You have been dating somebody for years. You've known somebody. They've been in your life for a long time. And you have an image of who they are. They present in a certain way. And you love them, you care for them, they're a good friend, they're a good partner. But all of a sudden, they start showing behaviors, they start acting a certain way. Maybe they're disrespectful. Maybe they start acting shady. They start being mean to you. Maybe, and this is what sparked this video, maybe they start acting a certain way to people, other people in your life. Maybe they start acting aggressive. Maybe your partner, they're not caring for you the same way they used to. They're not showing up the same way they used to. But because of the history you have with this person, you let it slide. You say, no, I know who they are. They're a good person. I love them. They love me. They're a good friend. They would never do that. There have been times in my life where, my best friend of 7 years, probably my best friend in my whole life, I had to cut them off. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Because I knew that for 7 years of friendship, 7 years of, getting deep with this person, connecting with this person on a deep level, spiritually, emotionally. Honestly, my best friend, I felt like I could tell them anything. But they showed me a side of themselves that I had to believe. At a certain point, people change. People start acting differently. And you logically will try to convince yourself that it's okay. Maybe they've had a bad week, a bad couple months. But at a certain point, you have to align yourself with people, with partners that have the same values as you, that respect you, that respect other people, that love you, and keep showing up for you. And even if it's hard, you have to believe that version of themselves they're showing you. My best friend of 7 years, without getting too personal, I was in a relationship at the time, 4 or 5 years ago. And I started hanging out with my best friend and my partner in a group setting. We're all very close. But he started acting very inappropriate towards her. He started saying things, started being a little too touchy, touching the shoulder, touching the knee. And especially when I was around, she would tell me he would say and do things that made her uncomfortable. But kind of on that line where it's like he didn't clearly do anything. And I let it slide for too long until at a certain point, he started sabotaging my relationship. And I should have believed him when those behaviors started. I should have cut him off, or at least talked to him in the beginning and said, this is not okay. You can't talk to my partner that way. But I was judging him based on his past self, not his current self. And honestly, we've all had bad times. We've all been at our low points. But there are certain behaviors that you can't allow into yourself, because the people you allow into your life, they influence who you are. And if somebody, even if you've known them for years, starts acting a certain way, starts doing things that are not aligned with you, you have to believe them for who they are and cut them off. And that's one of the hardest things about growing up, I believe, is walking away from friendships, from relationships that once served you, that were mutually beneficial. You saw the best in each other, you brought out the best in each other, but then they started acting a different way. You started growing and they stayed the same. Or you started growing and they became worse. And you were maybe in in denial of who they were becoming. You were in denial of your partner becoming distant. You were in denial of your partner becoming disrespectful. You know, you're hanging out in a group setting. She says something disrespectful about you. You let it slide, you laugh it off, but these behaviors keep happening. She keeps putting you down, and vice versa. You know, you're let's say you're a woman in a relationship with a man. He starts acting abusive, verbally, emotionally, maybe even physically. And you say, no, he loves me. No, he cares about me. But at a certain point, you have to believe them for who they are, for who they're showing up to be. Even if it means letting go of that past version of them that you once loved and once cared for. And it's not an easy thing to do. Because let's say you're an optimist and you see the best in people, you're seeing that best version of themselves. But there's only so many times somebody in your life cannot show up and you allow that. Somebody in your life could keep showing behaviors that don't align with you. Another example of somebody, I'll make this quick. A good friend of mine, a little older, in his 40s. I play basketball with him every week. I work with him. But his behavior towards other people became ugly to me. It became aggressive. I'm somebody that preaches, you know, stepping into your masculine as a man. But there's a healthy masculine, and he became aggressive. He became borderline violent, verbally abusive to people. And he would show signs of that to me, but not as extreme as I saw it with other people. Other people told me he was acting towards them. And he has a history of drug and alcohol abuse. I don't know if he's doing it again, but I can't allow that into my life. Whether he's going through this or not, I can't allow that behavior. I can't allow that in a friend. I can't be friends with somebody who doesn't align with my values, who doesn't have integrity, who doesn't uplift me, because I will uplift my friends. And that's the type of friendship that you should have. Those are the type of relationships you should have. You should keep each other accountable. And maybe you have been at the other end of that friendship where you didn't show up, where maybe you were falling short, and you were cut off, you were broken up with because you weren't showing up. And they had to believe that version of yourself that you were showing. And you might say, you know, but we've had this history, I've always been good to you, don't leave me, baby. But at a certain point, you have to believe people. There's only so many times you can say sorry. There's only so many times you could mess up until you have to cut them off, until you have to put your own energy first, yourself first. And it's hard to do, honestly. Cutting off my friend this last week or two was not easy, because I felt like there was something there. There was a beautiful friendship, but they were not acting in alignment with who I am. And this isn't coming from a place of I'm better than other people. I feel like I'm very empathetic, and you should allow space for mistakes in any relationship, friendship, etc. But when that behavior becomes repeated, that is just who they are. And that might not be the person you knew them to be. At a certain point, you got to cut them off and put yourself first. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Peace.